Greetings, everyone. This video is one in a series on the topic of assessment best practices in Canvas quizzes. And these videos are intended to explore ways that you can structure assignments in Canvas in order to discourage academic dishonesty. And this video is going to demonstrate how you can use question banks to structure your quizzes. And what question banks do is provide you with a repository of questions that it's randomly drawing from each time a student takes the quiz. And this provides a possibility that students won't have the same quiz as their peers. And also, if they have more than one opportunity to take the quiz, it would be from a different quiz from the first attempt to the second, depending on the number of questions in the bank. So I'm going to start here on the quizzes page for my course in Canvas. And instead of actually going into one of the quizzes or creating a new quiz, I'm going to select these three dots in the upper right-hand corner and choose Manage Question Banks. Now, I've already created a few question banks here because you don't want to watch me create these. It's kind of boring. Each of these quizzes just has 10 questions from each of the 10 chapter, or from each of the first 3 chapters in the textbook. But just to show you what would be involved in creating a question bank, I can select this Add Question Bank option, and I'm going to give it a name. We'll just call it Chapter 4. We don't have that one yet. Enter. And if I come into the question bank, I can choose Add a Question. And I'm not going to add questions now because, as I already mentioned, that's pretty boring to watch. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the bank. And I'll just make a quick plug here that if you already have existing questions in like a Word doc or some other file format, if you reach out to CertLab, they can help you transfer those questions into Canvas in a question bank in one of your courses. So let me come back to the question banks again. And once I have a sufficient amount of question banks to draw from, now I'm going to go back to the quizzes page. And I'm going to enter into the quiz that I want to draw on to have the quizzes draw from. So I'm going to click on this quiz bank question. And I'm going to come in here to edit this quiz. So once I'm in here in editing mode, I'm going to select this questions tab. You can see here that there are not currently any questions in this quiz. So I'm going to, instead of adding new questions, I'm going to select here, Add New Question Group. So I'm going to just name this, we're going to call this Chapter 1. And what this is going to do is it's going to pull questions from a question bank, and I can tell Canvas how many questions I want to pull from a certain bank, how many points I want each of the questions to be worth. So I'm going to have this pick 5 questions at 1 point per question. Then I'm going to select Link to a Question Bank. And I'm going to select the Chapter 1 questions that I want this to pull from and go ahead and select that question bank. It's going to pull from Chapter 1. I noted before there are 10 questions total, and this is going to be pulling 5 questions out randomly out of that 10 question bank. Then I'm going to select Create Group. So now this tells me that it's going to be pulling 5 questions from the Chapter 1 bank at 1 point per question, right? So let's do this again, right? I'm going to add another new question group. We'll call this one Chapter 2. We're also going to pull 5 questions from this question bank. We're going to link this to the Chapter 2 questions, select bank, create group, and do it one more time. Let's Chapter 3, 5 points per question, link to a question bank, Chapter 3 questions, and create group. So now you can see this quiz. We are going to have 5 questions that will be pulled randomly for each student from each of the first 3 chapters, right? So now I'm going to select Save, and now my quiz is ready to go. I'm going to select Preview, take a look at what we have here. You can see here the 5 randomly chosen questions from chapter 1. It pulled question 3, question 1, question 5, question 10, and question 7. We have 5 randomly selected from chapter 2 and 5 randomly selected questions from chapter 3. Rather than putting in actual questions, I just put these chapter 3 question number just so you can sort of see how it randomly chooses questions from the bank. And that's the basic use of question banks in Canvas quizzes. Thanks for watching. We hope you also check out some of our other videos on this topic of assessment best practices in Canvas quizzes.